If you try to describe how is God, it would be a difficult and intimidating work. But when the people who wrote the Bible contemplated the mystery of God, they constantly described God like this: the God of compassion and full of grace. I am slow to anger and filled with unfailing love and faithfulness. Exodus 34:6. So let's see. The second word in this prayer, full of grace. The Greek word is kahanun and is related to the Hebrew noun kihen. This word is frequently translated as grace or favor. And if you study how is used this word along the Bible, you'll find a fascinating story. One meaning of kihen is delightful or favorable. In the Psalms, one skilled poet is whom it is said to have lips like the kihen to craft beautiful words that bring delight. Or the laden jewel of kihen that brings attention and favor. That is why kihen is frequently used to describe a given gift with delight and favor. In this case, kihen would be translated as grace. Like in the story of Esther, when she arrives at the king of Persia to ask if she and her people can be delivered from death. She calls this like a petition of kihen, and since the king delights in Esther, he favors her and grants her the petition. So, this gift is kihen because it's motivated by delight. And the radical way to show favor to someone is to show them that they should have received what they deserve, not a generous gift. Like Jacob, who lied to his brother Esau, and he escaped, and 20 years later, he wanted to go back and fix the things. So he comes and asks, "Can I find kihen before your eyes?" Jacob is not asking for justice, he's just asking for favor. And surprisingly, that's what he gives him. He decides to delight his brother and show him the grace he didn't deserve. Now, kihen requires a generous spirit that some people have, but in the Bible, no one shows more grace than God. Like when God rescued the Israelites from Egypt, and they promptly betrayed him by showing loyalty to a golden calf, like that was his God. But then Moses interferes and asks God to consider giving them a gift they don't deserve, and God said yes. At the maximum way of kihen, the forgiveness and gift to be with them. This feature of the character of God is so relatable that more than 40 times in the book of Psalms, the people pray for kihen to God when they are sick or in danger, or even when the Israelites are in exile. So the biblical prophets like Isaiah look back to the kihen of God in the past and declare with courage that someday God will show his kihen to his people by delivering them and all the creation of the ruin and death. Now, when we go to the authors of the New Testament, they describe the kihen of God with the word charis, which means a gift of grace. As when Jesus is presented to us in the Gospel of John, it said to us that Jesus is the glorified charis of God, made human, sent to the world that is trapped in darkness and death. But as Paul said, God is rich in mercy, and by his charis, he has rescued us. He is talking about how life, death, and the resurrection of Jesus are offered to us like a generous gift of a life that is more powerful than death. And like any gift, the only thing that the beneficent must do is receive it. So, you can see how the biblical author described the character of God along the Bible. When people are incapable of appropriate their own fails and ask God for kihen, he shows a constantly generous response. God gives the gift of himself, his life, and love. That means that God is full of love and grace.